There were a bunch of people in this studio, and the documentary is being filmed, Baylor's national championship, the past, the present, the future, and everything else in between. And not just men's basketball, but that is the focus, of course, quite a bit. A lot of great former players and others that will be interviewed along the way. I think Scott Drew tomorrow will spend quite a bit of time, among others. Tweety Carter, who was one that helped launch the run that eventually led to the greatness of the national championship, joins us now, the former All-American on SicEm365 Radio. We don't want to give away what was said by anyone who's been interviewed, but Tweety, I heard you absolutely rocked the film crew with what you did in front of that camera.
That's a blessing. The film crew is amazing. I'm gonna be the first to say, man, if you're a big Baylor fan, I would encourage you to go check it out because it's gonna be amazing, especially with a story ending like this.
Tweety, we haven't gotten to talk to you in a while. I mean, you were overseas. You were
he was busy.
Yeah, busy. Doing your job. What was it like following all this from across the pond and having to keep up? And I'm sure you had some pretty late nights where you weren't going to be able to go to sleep until you knew the Baylor score.
Oh, it was crazy. And it was fun, to stay up at 3, 4 in the morning knowing you got practice. It was crazy. It didn't matter. Whenever they was playing, I was tuned in. My family was tuned in. So it was just amazing run, amazing ride. And it was just a big blessing to be a part of it, man, especially, knowing what we've been through, Baylor, knowing what we've been through, it was just a big blessing to see this happen.
Did you feel in some way, or do you still, as a former player, feel like the ebbs and flows as though you were still playing? So when they reach a high like that, it's almost, you're a part of it in a way, right?
Oh, I never left Baylor. I'm still playing that right now.
Gotcha.
Every year, I'm tuned in. So even when I graduated from that point on, every year I was tuned in. I just appreciate everything Baylor done for me. So, I'm tuned into everything we do. So I'm completely locked in.
Tweety, I know you're very humble, but you also realize how good you are and what you were and what you did and how you helped set the table along with some others as well. How much do you go back and think about how this all began? I know that 2003, it all began when Scott Drew took over a program that not many people wanted to touch. But how much do you feel like that you were a part of that launching pad later on?
Oh, yes. And the guys before me as well. Like you said, when he took over in 2003, a lot of these guys didn't have to come to Baylor. They didn't have to, agree to, all of the punishment that was coming towards Baylor. A lot of the players that came stuck through it, and to see those guys do it, I thought I can do it too as well. And I just want to tilt my hat off for those guys for paving the way for me as well. And, I met a lot of great friends through this whole run and ride, and I'm just thankful and blessed to really be a part of Baylor's program.
What did you think about the 3 guards that Baylor rolled out this year?
Oh, man, them guys was amazing. Them young men was amazing, but I seen they work, and not only them 3, the team, I seen everybody put in work. They always wanted to get better, but those 3 guards, the consistency, the leadership from them, big shot after big shot. One of them was going to step up, and that was what it was about. And that's why they was able to bring home the national championship because each one of them had each other back out there, and it showed.
This was one of Jared Butler's quotes after they won the title. They did so much for us. He was talking about former players. They did so much for us that we don't even know about. I know guys like Tweety Carter and Rico Gathers, they did so much for me, but I know there's guys that did so much for them, and it means a lot that they can celebrate with us. What do you think of when you hear that quote?
Oh man, Jared, that's a brother to me. He's just amazing. I love what he did. I love what he brought to Baylor, and that's just a blessing to hear that from him. And me knowing him personally, he's just a great guy, and I'm just so happy for him and the team and the coaching staff.
This all began because a guy named Scott Drew decided he would take a chance at Baylor, and he always believed, and he's had so many people sling arrows at him. Tweety, when you saw that thing end and you saw the emotions and joy, that word joy, we hear that a lot, on his face and among his other staff, Jerome, Jacobs, others among everybody, what did that mean?
Oh, it meant a lot because I know, not many people would have took this job that Coach Drew did. It was a tough situation. And for him to take this job, it shows how tough he really is. Because, again, a lot of people run from the hard work. If it was easy, anybody would do it. And Coach Drew knew it wasn't going to be easy. All these years later, finally get to raise up that championship, to see him and that coaching staff, like you mentioned, guys like Coach Jacobs, to see those guys, come here and give their all to Baylor. It's just a blessing to see all the coaching staff hold that trophy up along with those players. You appreciate everything that you went through during your time here at Baylor.
Scott Drew, from the very beginning, thought and believed that he would win a national championship here. When did he first say that to you, and when did you first start to say, like, oh, this guy's not nuts? He might really have something here.
And this might be crazy. Coach Drew always thought we could win a national championship. He always thought that. He gave us a lot of confidence, and sometimes, you go through ups and downs as players and as coaches during the process, but this was about. I always felt confident playing with Coach Drew, and, through the ups and downs, when you have your downs, of course, you question things. You want to, ask a lot of questions towards how you can be better and things like that. And he was always honest. And, I really got a lot of respect for him and what he did for this program.
So, Tweety, where did you actually watch the national title game?
I was in Portugal in my living room.
So take us through that night, because obviously your team's playing for the title. You knew all of the buildup, them and Gonzaga. The first game got canceled, and so now it was only right that they meet for the national title. And Baylor goes out there and just whoops them. What was going through your head and watching that? And I can only imagine as it became clear that it was a foregone conclusion the Bears were going to be national champs.
But it all year, it never been a question if they can do it, for me, because I seen how much work they put in night in and night out, and I'm tuned into every game. So to see them make it past the Elite Eight, it was just like, wow, they made it to the Final Four. And now it's time to just show up. You made it. It's time to show up. And that's what they did. They did what they worked all year to do, and they pulled it off. And just to see those guys, again, raise up that trophy, man, knowing that the hard work that they put in, it's just a big blessing. By the way, I got to tell you this. There were about 30 times I tried to text you when you were in Portugal. And I think I had the wrong number. Oh, so I don't know who it is, but some poor son of a gun thinks that he's Tweety. And wow. Yeah, because we had like Paul mentioned, that we've had, and Craig, bunch of the former players, and I was like, man, we've had Tweety before. What's going on? What did I do to get Tweety upset? And then I finally reached out because of the documentary, and I was like, I got the wrong number for like the last 6 months. So some guy keeps wanting to know, why the hell does he want to interview me? And he's probably like in Tuscaloosa.
Maybe some random guy in the documentary talking about Baylor basketball.
But he could have just said that I'm not Tweety Carter. That's the wrong number.
Yeah, right. If somebody texts, we get something on our text line that we have for the show, and every once in a while we get some spam or whatever. Hey, by the way, we're going to pick you up. What? And it's like, that's not us. That's not me. That's not you. I would always think that's normal, but it worked out perfectly. Everything always works for a reason. It would have been great to have you on, but because of the documentary, the timing is also amazing. What are your thoughts about that they're having this documentary done? And obviously, it's well worth it, and obviously the timing's perfect.
Oh, for sure it's well worth it. To see those guys put in the work, the cast, and to be a part of it, and to see it firsthand, it's amazing. All the work that they have to do to make sure that this come out right. And again, the players wrote the story. We know how it's going to end. And that's the beauty in it. And it's just sharing all of our thoughts. And a lot of the past players, would love to share their thoughts towards this. I'm pretty sure, because a lot of work was put in to get where we are today. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of frustration. A lot of questions, everything, man, and to stick through it and to really wear BU on your shoulder and chest, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing, and I'm just happy. I'm real happy about everything that is happening with the BU basketball, for sure.
How bummed were you to miss the parade?
Oh man. That sucks. I'm gonna be completely honest because I wanted to be there. I really wanted to be there. But it everything happened for a reason. I'm here now, and I will for sure be up there looking at that trophy.
Well, Tweety, they have the plans in the works for the new basketball fieldhouse arena. Still kind of to be determined on the timeline. They're still sorting out the location of all that. But, I mean, what do you think about a brand new, basketball arena / fieldhouse for the men and the women to play in moving forward here in a few years?
Wow. I mean, it's a special program, and that's what I set out to do. That's what all in the past, if you look at any of my interviews, everything was all about being a part of a special program. And, when things like this happen, you have opportunities to build, to rebuild, to build even stronger, and I think that's what's going on. And to see it happen, it's just fun to watch.
Do you feel like that because of what they did, they have a target on their back? But isn't that, as a player, isn't that what you want? You want people coming at you rather than you chasing them?
Yes, sir. It's time to step up. It's time to step up. Now they know BU ain't coming to play. You must come to play.
Does there a swagger come with that, or is that overrated?
No, we just have to. I'm pretty sure, Coach Drew and the staff are going to keep those guys humble, and let me do all the talking as an alumni. But I don't have to be humble right now in this situation. So.
Oh.
But, it's just those guys going to continue to work. Me knowing the coaching staff and me seeing that they work over the years, I know they will keep them focused and keep them locked into what they need to do to continue to thrive and continue to improve.
Melvin Hunt, who's now a part of the Atlanta Hawks, and they're in the playoffs, told us that after the win, how many days in a row did he wear Baylor's colors? Went like days upon days upon days.
Well, I've been wearing Baylor color every day since I left Baylor. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, Tweety, you have obviously been one to give back to the program. I mean, you're no stranger to campus, even though your playing days are over. And you referenced that earlier in the interview. I mean, there's other guys that come back quite a bit as well. It just seems like there's a really good culture with the former players and then, wanting to pass that along. And we kind of touched on that, but how unique and special do you think that is? And it was actually something that Jared Butler said that he's going to be actively trying to help the future generations as well now that his career's over. How did you guys kind of keep that bond going and make it to where it is a special deal where the former players are so involved in wanting to help the new guys?
I mean, not be selfish with your information. Pass it along. It's all about the youth. And, right now, youth need us more than anything. We have a special gift that God blessed us with, and I think it would be selfish for us and the past players to not want to pass it along or not want to see, Baylor do well or these young guys do well. I think if you don't want them to do well, you never was in the Baylor anyway. So, I just feel like, we have to step up for the youth. And I think Jared said it best, we got to continue to do these things for the youth and watch the youth grow and help them out as much as we can.
All right, Tweety, you're from Louisiana, right? Yeah. Lace is from Louisiana.
Yes,
Rico's from Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
Jared's from Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure I'm leaving a couple other guys from Louisiana out. How did you?
Mark Vidal.
Mark Vidal's from Louisiana.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Mark Vidal's from Louisiana. How, did you teach Coach Drew how to speak Louisianan? Is that what it is? How does he dominate that state?
I think he's just showing up and showing that love, and giving us a chance. Not a lot of people will come to Reserve, Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, and Shreveport, Louisiana. Not a lot of coaches want to come there, but I tell you, man, we got a lot of players, we got a lot of athletes, and I think we got some tough guys there. And I think with a great chance, the Louisiana players will continue to do well and continue to thrive in college and in the NBA. God bless. Yeah, I think Coach Drew just did a great job of staying in that area because he got some great players out of it.
You know what, Tweety? We had Mark Vidal in studio a couple of weeks ago, and you have an open invitation. We are recruiting you to come into our studio here in Waco. Come in, sit down in the big couch, the big chair, and we would love to have you in studio, even though we have you on today. And you just tell me when, okay?
You tell me when, and I'm there.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Be a long flight, but we'll see you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
I know, right?
Hey, you played in so many different places around the world. How much of an experience was that for you, and how much did you grow because of that opportunity?
I grew a lot. I was able to calm down. I was able to mature. I was able to understand what was important, and things like that. You have a lot of thinking time, alone time. You're going for 10 months. I was just telling my brother that, I'm really gone for 10 months, and I'm only home for like 2 or 3 months, majority of the year for the past 11 years. And it's like, man, the past couple of years, I'm really from overseas. I come home and visit, and I'm gone again, so it's tough. It's a humbling experience, but it's also a blessing to get to see the world, get to see the beauty on the other side of the world, and it just was fun to have my family, kids travel and get their passport stamped to grow up and say that they traveled. It's just beyond a big blessing for me.
All right, man. Hey, it's great to have you on, and thank you so much. Great to have you. We've heard so much about what you said on film, on camera, and I can't wait for that thing to come out and have Tweety Carter and many others as a part of it. Thank you for what you do, and also the fact that you continue to give back. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Tweety Carter. He was, Paul, you were here. I didn't get here till 2010, but there was that run of Carter, among others. Obviously, Epe Udo was a part of it. And then, you start to get the others that come in. And but was he the tough? Did he bring the toughness?
He brought the toughness. He also was just the guy who, that was the first legit star they got, who was a guy who was that they took away from other people.
That's when everyone was like, how in the hell did they get Tweety Carter? And of course, because they weren't supposed to win, they're like, what's going on with Baylor? And of course, people accuse of, when you're not supposed to win, you're not supposed to get Tweety Carter. Instead of just saying Scott Drew and his staff worked their asses off to get him and others.
But clearly, the reason Scott Drew and Tweety Carter worked out so well is that they're they're similar. They just jive. It works. And that, I think sometimes it's just that simple. Like, why did you go play for this coach? I like him. I like the guy.
That's really
it. I like him. It has nothing to do. I like him. He and I get along. That's it.
Well, there are some cases where it's just very odd, but there are, cases where that is simply just the case. Like, a guy went to Syracuse randomly. Okay, he could be getting some money from Jim Boeheim or something, but maybe a guy just random, and Syracuse is just the school that pops in my head, but maybe a guy just goes there because he likes Jim Boeheim. Yeah. Like, maybe he likes that area of New York. Like, maybe he likes orange and blue. There's a lot of things. We talk about high school kids, flipping schools because of uniform colors and stuff. You know what I mean? So, let's not act as though these are really super well thought out decisions all the time. And sometimes it is as simple as you just trust a guy's vision, and you trust his process, and you trust him as a person, and that's obviously what Tweety felt with Scott Drew, and many others have as well.
Yeah, but he was the one that was, okay, now they got Tweety Carter. He can, and actually, and like Curtis Gerald, they had Curtis Gerald's before that, and, Curtis kind of transitioned, into that, but with Tweety Carter, but they actually got better when Curtis Gerald's left. I don't think it was because of Curtis Gerald's. It just, that team, once he was gone, all of a sudden they had more guys that could balance it out, and Tweety, he was the first legit stud that they recruited. That wasn't a Scott Drew, like, this kid's really athletic and I'll make him good. It was, he's already good. Everybody knew he was McDonald's All-American. So when they got him, it meant, oh, hey, wait a minute. And sometimes you have those that are one-offs, but he clearly wasn't a one-off because they've done it a couple more times.
He's now a lifer. He's a Baylor lifer like so many other former players. By the way, Royce O'Neal still alive in the playoffs.
Yep.
With what he's doing with the Utah Jazz as the NBA playoffs continue.
I think that might be one of the more interesting things is when I first arrived, it was like the whole Perry Jones thing and, those group of guys. Deuce Bello was, around, and that whole group kind of flamed out, quite frankly.
Isaiah Austin, of course, but still was never, he was good, but
never quite what his rankings said. Yeah. And so, I was kind of wondering, there's kind of a question of like, why aren't they putting guys in the pros, or why are these guys that are supposed to be stars not having success? But now that's flipped. I mean, you look at Royce O'Neal, Taurean Prince is, he's moved teams, but he's still in the league. You're going to add at least 2 to 3 guys here in this upcoming draft. So I think that's starting to build some momentum as well. And, all it takes is one guy popping off and becoming a star for you really to see this thing take off into a whole nother stratosphere. And I think Royce O'Neal is probably difficult for him to turn into like a star, because I don't know if, necessarily he's name brand enough or well known enough, or maybe the things that he does maybe don't pop out like, many guys who are considered stars, but they've got some good, ground to work with, and this draft will certainly help.
I did notice, and of course, you guys, when I was gone, one of your guests, I think it was on that Thursday, had written a story from the Salt Lake City area or a media outlet about what Royce had meant to it. Who's the star for Utah?
Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell,
Spida.
a couple of different times said that
Davion
Royce,
Mitchell's a star for Baylor. Donovan Mitchell.
Spida
had made a comment that Royce O'Neal should have been a part of the conversation when it comes to the best defensive players, shutdown players in the NBA. Hey, a quick update. New